And we're live. Welcome back to this 5 Minute Friday. Second attempt. I did it earlier this morning already, and apparently there were some audio issues. I hope it's fixed by now. Thank you very much, guys, for all your follow-up questions and comments and the statements after the last 5 Minute Friday, where I talked about this fin here, the shorty. Then the question was, is a shorty fin good enough? And today I want to follow up with the same topic, basically, with comments that you made, and get into two sections. One is material. I think it's worth now talking about what are these fins made for, and made of, and made for, hence. And the second thing is technique. How does the finning technique, how is it affected by the choice of fins that you make? That's of course a huge topic in its own right, but we try to keep it short. So the first comment that came in was like, everybody should use short fins, and I totally agree with that. When you learn freediving and you learn the bifin technique, or when you go back to the pool to work on technical details, it's always good to have short fins. It's much better and much easier to work on technique with short fins. So in my school at Freedive Flow, we always use short fins for the students first, and when they have the technique mastered to a certain level that we think like, yeah, that's good, then we give them longer fins. So now, this fin here is a carbon fin. So when we talk about material, that's an expensive piece of equipment. The advantage is, what I talked about last week, is when you put in effort, when you put in power with your legs, it will come back because it progressively will get bent and then snaps back. So that's what gives you the propulsion. I haven't managed yet to overpower such a fin. Overpowering would mean it falls. That happens when you use plastic fins, long plastic fins. They will not bend progressively when you put in a lot of power. They will simply fold at somewhere here and then fall as the whole fin, and there's actually not much power coming back, so you're overpowering them. And there's a limit what a cheaper fin can do. And that's the longer plastic fins. They are exceptional, though. They're very good and good enough to do 40-meter dives up to instructor level, working on that technique. However, the technique might be a little different. More to that in a minute. So which sort of short fins should you use then for students, for learning freediving? And it's actually, now let's try again if we get a better result. I guess the audio is still there. Yes, looks like it. That's an example of a very simple rubber fin. They're cheap, they are simple, they're supposed to be simple. This is probably the best to start with a finning technique in the pool, and to go back to working on finning technique when you need it. Very cheap and easy to get, I guess, in the most places on the planet. I'm not such a big fan of short fins like that made of plastic. So the classic scuba fin or snorkeling fin, which is made of plastic, there you have the same problem which I mentioned before. When you put a lot of effort in it, it can happen that they simply fold, and then you lose the energy that you put in. That is much less likely to happen. I'm pointing to the right because my second monitor is there with the picture on. So it's much less likely to happen in that fin. Now, when we talk about other materials, there is something in between the most expensive ones, which are the carbons, and the very cheap rubber ones to begin with. And they look something like this. This is a fiberglass fin. So a fiberglass is a little smaller. So the size of that fin would be maybe about this long here. So that's a normal length freediving fin, what you see on screen here. Fiberglass, some say they're actually better to dive with. I read that every now and then, like people who know what they're talking about. And I'm not surprised. These fins have come a long way. They are exceptionally good, very, very good quality, and the return of power is also very, very good there. So give these a go. There's another form of fin which is even longer, and I show you an example that I know of because I used these fins for quite a while and still do together with these here. And that's the Mantra of the brand Chetma. And when I said before that the Molchanov's fin, which is a normal length fin, is maybe that long, then the Mantra is even, I think, 8 centimeters longer than the average, if that's a thing that exists, normal freediving fin. So does that have an impact on how you should use these fins in the different lengths? As usual, it always, the answer is it depends. It depends on the stiffness on the fins in every length. So these fins, which I showed you, are all very soft. They are progressively, so they are very hard under the foot pocket, and then to the tip, they are super soft. The longest one I showed you is actually, it feels like paper at the tip. So what happens is they bend progressively. This leads to the phenomenon, in the interesting situation that you can actually use all of these with an almost same technique. And with same technique, I mean a modern low amplitude kick. So old school is more like a strong, wide kick. So you have a big amplitude with a low frequency. This was necessary because when we only had like stiff plastic fins available, it's only almost the only option how you can kick. Now that we have soft materials that still react and bring the power back, it's more about having a lower amplitude, a smaller amplitude, and a higher frequency. So when you look at competition divers nowadays in the pool, when they do bifins, it's quite a high frequency and a low range of movement. There is maybe according to that, regarding that is a small misconception around. Some say the fin has always to bend in one direction. That is not true anymore with modern fins, with softer fins. It's well possible that a fin bends first here, where it's stiffer this way, while the tip of the fin is still bent in that direction. And in the very long versions, I saw on video stills actually a triple S curve in there. So the fin is following you. It looks like you're having a wet noodle on your feet. Oh, it is a very efficient technique. The phenomenal thing which I realized is all these fins that I showed you today work with more or less the same finning technique. Some adaptations are always needed when you go into details of what the ankles are doing. And so, but low amplitude, high frequency kick, not a strong, wide, slow kick anymore. So that's that for today. Thank you very much for all the comments on the last video. So please subscribe to the channel here, so you also see when I follow up on. I'm pretty sure there will be more comments and questions regarding this really interesting topic. So please keep it coming. Thank you very much for joining me this week, and I hope see you soon again.